Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. So, what are we going to learn in this video? Printing, input function, variables, data types, BMI calculator project. So now, let's get into the video. So, see how can we print a string? We use a print keyword, followed by parenthesis, and we write a string inside apostrophes. Now let's try this out in Pycharm. Go to File. Click on New. Click on Python File. Name it anything you want. We have a new file now. So here, we use a print keyword followed by parentheses. Try to write a string inside the parenthesis. Then click on Compile button and see the output. You can see, we printed a string. Try your own examples and compile them and see the output. Let's see what is next. It is input function. We use input function to take input from the users. Let's write a simple code to test this out. First we will ask the user's name, and then after getting the name, we will say him. Hello. Input is the keyword. First the input function works. Let's try this out in Pycharm. We are saying hello to the user. So name has to come after the hello. Right. So, let's add input after hello. Let's give some space between hello and the name. And now compile it. Enter the name. It says hello to the user. Isn't it interesting? So, let's see what's next. It is variable. What are variables? Variables are like containers, where you can store any type of data and you change them whenever you want. Let's try to store the string inside a variable with name called name. To assign value to variable, we will use equal to symbol. And now the question is, how to print a variable? It is as easy as printing a string, but we shouldn't use the apostrophes. Let's try it out in Pycharm now. Give any variable name, and use a equal to symbol to assign a value. Let's store a string inside the variable. I will try to create another variable and store some other string in it. Now we have to print the variable. How are we going to do it? As we already learned how to do it, it's easy. We use print keyword, open parenthesis, and then write the variable name inside the parenthesis. Let's compile it now. Finally, we learned how to print a variable. Let's see what's next. It's data types in Python. It's really important to learn the data types in any programming languages. So, let's see. What are data types that we have in Python? We have string, integer, float, Boolean. A string is a sequence of characters. We can simply say string is a alphabets or a names whatever. We must use apostrophe to a string. That's the example for string. Secondly, we have integer. An integer is a whole numbers without fraction part. All integers, literals or variables, are objects of the int class. The keyword of integers is int. Next we have float. A float is a decimal number. The float type in Python represents the floating point number. Float is used to represent a real number and is written with a decimal point, dividing the integer in fractional parts. And these are the few examples. And next we have Boolean. The Python data type Boolean is used to store two values that could be just true or false. Let's try out some examples on Boolean. Let's open Pycharm and test them out. Let's check whether 2 is less than 3. Let's also check whether 5 is greater than 7. Now compile it and check out the outputs. Yeah, 2 is less than 3. So it tells true. And 5 is not greater than. So it tells false. What's next? It is mathematical operations in Python. We have many mathematical operations in Python. They are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentiation. We exponentiation to know the powers of the number, and floor division. Floor division give you the remainder. when divide numbers. Let's try all these operations in Pycharm and know about them clearly. I suggest you to do simultaneously in your systems and compile them. After seeing the outputs, I hope that you have understood it much clearly. What's next? It's project time. Our basic project is BMI project. This calculator tells about body mass index. To do this, first we have to know the formula. The formula is weight in kgs divided by height in meters to the exponent of 2. Now we are going to build BMI project on the concepts of what we've learned. According to this formula, we need 4 variables. They are BMI variable to store body mass index after calculating, and BMI is int variable to get the output in which and type with no decimals, weight variable to store the weight of the user, height variable to store the height of the user in meters. So, here we need to get 2 inputs. One is weight and height. Let's complete it in Pycharm. Create a variable with name weight, and assign the value which is entered in the input of type int. And in the input we will ask the user to enter in kilograms. Create another variable with name height, and assign the value which is entered in the input of type float. And now let's write the formula and store the value which comes in float into variable BMI. Let's convert float value of BMI into int and store it in BMI and integer. And then print the value of BMI and integer which has BMI integer value. Let's compile it now and check the output. Now, enter the output in kilograms, and then enter the height in meters, which is in data type float. Now it gives the BMI and int. Thanks for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to give thumbs up and subscribe.